Hello, good morning. Testing, testing. 2, 3. How is everybody today? All right. I didn't really announce this stream, but I was like, why not? Let's stream. Just getting myself sorted, getting myself ready. And we're going to look at Bitcoin today. We're going to look at TRVL, and then we're going to look at ETH BTC this morning, this afternoon. Actually, it's 7 a.m. or 7:11 a.m. in El Salvador, sunny El Salvador. I'm just looking outside and I can see it's nice and sunny. It's always good to enjoy the sun in Central America, and in London it's 2:11. Okay, so there's a 7-hour time difference, and then wherever you're joining me from, wherever in the world, welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so let's have a look at Bitcoin. And my last stream was on Sunday. It was Sunday before daily close. And what was I looking at? Well, we were somewhere here, and I was looking at bearishness. Bearish, bearish, bearish. Why was it bearish? Well, we had a pretty miserable sell-off. It could have been bullish, but it wasn't, because it was pretty miserable. Because, as I explained, the wick was, what I needed was the wick for it to be stronger than the body, and it wasn't. On the weekly time frame. And what I was contemplating on Sunday was the possibility of a gap fill, but the CME gap was quite high up, and it wasn't realistic to fill that gap. So we had single print, and as we can see, the price only managed to go up to the 382. So that's quite interesting, because I've done a fib pull from this pivot low to the all-time high, and it looks like these fibs are being respected correctly. We have the 382. You see that here. Let me hide this information. So we just stick to the basics. Here you can see, oh, actually I have to bring it back in, don't I? Is that one? There it is. You see here, the 382, the price dropped, came up, tried to fill the gap. These single prints, wasn't able to, and it just found resistance off the single print. So even though I had a short idea here, if it was to be able to come up to hit this trend line, that was what I was thinking about initially. The reality was it didn't do it. So obviously I didn't do anything there. It could have come down to this 50 fib, and as you can see, it came down to find support, lost support, and now we're finding resistance. Okay, so we're still looking quite bearish right now, because we're losing levels. When you're losing levels, you're bearish. Yeah, signs of weakness, losing levels. Signs of strength, reclaiming levels and flipping them back into support. So now we're in a situation where we're losing levels, and we're heading down to my kind of a little bit more of a target area, which is the golden pocket. And so let me have a look at that now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this fib trace up, hide these levels, and I'm just going to quickly have a look at the order flow to see what's going on there. Already we've got some gaps filling it. Look at these gaps. So we formed some gaps going up, and then we just lost it immediately. I don't know why it's done that. You've got massive selling tail. Look at that selling tail. Wow. Let's have a look at the imbalances. Wow, it gapped down. So actually this is quite good. I can see some bullish divergence forming here. We had some liquidations earlier on today. You see these pink bubbles. We had some liquidations here. and now we're forming some bullish divergence. You see how the CVD's gone down and the price is actually going up. You're putting higher lows on the price and you're putting lower lows on the CVD. So that's actually quite bullish. In the local area here, this is locally bullish, but when you're looking across the range, not yet. It's kind of following it. It's just following the price. The CVD is following the price. When you're looking locally in the last couple of hours, you can see that there's some bullish absorption forming here. We're above the daily open. We're above the VWAP. That's not a bad place to be for bullishness, actually. So I would argue that maybe we're a little bit bullish today. Let's have a look at the candles, daily candles. Let me just hide all this information now for the time being. Let's have a look at that. So we had a pretty disastrous daily candle yesterday. It's a pretty strong red bearish candle, closed underneath the previous day low. We've gone down now, cleared liquidity all the way down to 108.641. Now we're trading back above daily open. Yesterday's volume was increasing volume, decreasing prices. It's bearish. That's pretty bearish. And what I really want to do now is kind of zoom in a little bit, do some volume range pulls to see what the volume is looking like. Let me just pull up my volume. Got the local volume up there, got the higher range volume there. So let's just have a look at the volume to see if we find anything interesting here. I'll do 2 range pulls. Update these a little bit. You can see that the point of control is all the way up the top. So for both of these volume pulls, the point of control is all the way up there. So it's pretty bearish. That means there's a bit of trap liquidity there. We've got local bar. There, perfect. All right. Let me also do another volume pull. I'm going to do it from this pivot low here or thereabouts. Again, you see the point of control is right up there. Yeah, and this is where we are pretty bearish right now. Yeah. Yep. What needs to happen now is, and actually I could zoom out a little bit more and pull more data. I could probably do another pull here. The whole lot. Let me try that. Oh, okay, this is quite interesting. So we're coming into the value area high of this overall range. Trying to find a little bit of support here off the value area. And we've clearly got some kind of high volume nodes here at about 104, 105. Got some high volume node there, which is the value area low area. Okay. So I have an idea now of what the volume is like. And what I did before was a fib pull. I did it from there, and I'm going to do it from here. I'm going to do it from 2 places. If I can get this magnet to work. There you go. So that's quite interesting because we're coming into the value area high of the overall range here, and we're coming into the 236 of this higher fib pull. You see that? We've lost the 50 fib here. We're kind of stuck a little bit. We're coming to a little bit of support here. We've got some higher time frame support here. There's 236 plus the value area high. I don't mind actually. I don't mind the support here that's forming actually. So we've kind of gone down, and now we're just finding support. When you look at that with the bullish CVD, actually that gives you a little bit of confidence that maybe we could actually go up and not down, especially since we're above the daily open and we're above the VWAP. And so let me just go back to my long short trade idea. So possibly here we do find a little bit of support to go up to back test that trend line. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Let me update these because obviously these are not correct. So when they're not correct, you just move on to the next idea, next trade idea. I mean, arguably you could say that there is a trade up along to be had here because we've put in some pivot lows here. It's quite wide. What's the market structure like? Oops, sorry, my table banged. Lower low. There you go. There's your first higher high. Lower high, lower low. That's your higher high. So as long as we don't take out this low, we could actually change 5-minute market structure here, which is could be quite good to see. And then we could start seeing the price rally a little bit. We look at the local range, local range here. Yeah, I think stands out for me. I mean, it's not an obvious long here, but there could be a long here just because of where the price is kind of finding support here, putting in higher lows at the moment. Got a first higher high on the daily time, on the 5-minute time frame. You'd have to have quite a wide invalidation to make this happen. But it would be basically be something like this. The problem is, is there a good risk to reward here? 1 to 2, possibly 1 to 2. Possibly for a 1 to 2, you have to have a validation there. You don't want the price to go down and still be in the trade. It's not great, is it? But you are putting in higher lows here, so it is possible to improve the odds here for a 1 to 5. And honestly, I think we probably want to go back up and hit that kind of that formed trend line. And there is another trend line forming here, slightly steeper. It's getting steeper. So you kind of want that to break. You kind of want that to break. You want it to come on this, to hit this outside trend line. If this 236 holds, kind of you just want to. I do feel that we probably want to short there as well. It's from a reaction. It's the wrong one. It's a tricky one because you kind of want to take out that pivot high and then drop. And I still think we probably need to go down. I still think we probably need to go down to just trap lots of people. Bam. To come down here, which would be the golden pocket of the higher time frame here. But I think locally what you're looking at is when you're looking at the CVD, We're getting some, as long as we don't take out these lows, we're getting bullish CVD forming here. We've lost daily open, unfortunately, but we're coming back. I see some longs have been stopped out, and now some shorts are entering. Coming into the VWAP, we're above the VWAP. As long as we don't put in a lower low here. If we put in a lower low, the CVD is invalidated, and it's just continuation of bearishness. And so that's the question. So is the CVD leading or not? Yes. So you could take one stab at a long here, possibly. If this wants to go up, it will go up. And ideally, you want a wider invalidation. But the risk to reward is obviously better with a smaller invalidation. Often when you get consolidation on support, that's bearish. But I wouldn't mind if we get kind of went up and then come down, you know, rather than just go straight down. But if you go straight down, you go straight down. There's no messing about with longs. But there is a possible long here. And then you have a possible short there. And then going down to this kind of, this area here, which is what I was initially thinking about, is the golden pocket from this pivot low to that all-time high. And it kind of coincides with the value area low here. I wouldn't mind if we did actually go down to the value area low, lost the golden pocket, reclaimed the golden pocket, and then broke that trend line for a bit more of a rally to the upside. So break it, and then rally, 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 all the way up to the point of control. It's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment. And that will take us to the point of control and the golden pocket off this move to the upside for another sell-off, basically. And so I do think we're forming kind of bearishness at these highs, and the structure is starting to look bearish. Let's have a look at what the current price action is doing here now. The other thing to look at when you're looking at Bitcoin is to look at ETH BTC to see if the flow of is going into ETH, and it is. You see that? So the pullbacks on BTC right now is capital rotation into ETH. You see that? That usually gives me a clue that we're actually quite bullish. When you see that the capital flow is into ETH, that's what's pulling the price down on BTC to a large portion of the price action. And that usually means that BTC is finding some kind of support or local support, which could mean the price is about to rally a little bit, which kind of gives me a little bit more confidence about longing here. Again, I said that's the absolute invalidation, that pivot low. But obviously, if you want a good trade, you need a higher risk to reward. And so therefore, it'd be nice if you can get a tighter invalidation with this local CVD forming without taking out these lows. If you take out the lows, the CVD is invalidated, and that's why I think it's better to have a slightly tighter stop, and you have a much higher risk to reward ratio, 1 to 5 or so, and then you'll still be looking for a short, and then still looking to take it down. But you never know. I mean, it is possible for the price to come here, put a higher low here, and break out from here. Yeah, hold here and break out. It's possible. So again, when you're trading like this, you have to take your profit when you hit your first kind of big support resistance level. If you're in profit, you don't just hold and hope for higher, hope for lower. You have to take profit to make that work, right? So I think that's BTC for the time being. Pretty short update. I'm not going to really go into much more depth, but I think that was pretty interesting. I was looking at ETH at Sunday. I saw that it was bearish again. It was bearish because you got rejection from all-time highs. I was hoping that we'd go up to kind of, and it didn't. So it was really bearish. It was more when that happens, it's more bearish than you expect. It's more bearish than you think. So anyway, the idea of shorting was correct, but obviously it's hard to, when you're getting this kind of price action, it's hard to catch it. I'm just looking at high low, high low. Let me have a look. Higher high, higher low, higher high. Interesting. That's a V-shaped recovery on ETH. Let me have a look at that. All the way up to there. We're down into the golden pocket. We found support back up to the 50 fib. Bit of a brutal sell-off from the all-time high, pump and dump into the all-time high. Clearly, some people have been taking some great profit. Yeah, I mean, it does look bearish. It looks bearish here. So ideally, what you want to do is you want to just stay here now and consolidate, and that would be nice. Consolidation underneath resistance is bullish, but that's going to take some time to play out. When I'm looking at ETH, I'll often, if not always, look at ETH with ETH BTC. ETH BTC on the left, ETH on the right. Yeah, we got a sell-off on ETH BTC and we're kind of finding support. We're coming back up for a little reaction. I do feel like we should go up more on ETH BTC. It might take a little bit of time because obviously the price doesn't go in straight lines. You get these kind of mid-move corrections. I wouldn't mind if that happened, to be honest with you. But it's hard to tell here what's going to happen. It's hard to tell. Let me pull the volume as well. See what the volume is looking like here. Total volume. If that draws out correctly, it's not drawing out. I don't know why. So annoying. There you go. Wow, look at that point of control at 1,600 above the value area. It's quite a big range in price movement. No insight, no insight. But that, for me, that list is starting to look bearish on ETH here. Ideally, what you want is you want ETH to find support. And so we're into resistance right now. It either has to find support or it has to consolidate underneath resistance. Yeah. We've taken the all-time highs out. So we are potentially going to consolidate here underneath resistance. And that's what we want to see. We want to see what the consolidation is like. ETH BTC is still going up. Okay. You can see it's still going up. So that's a good sign because usually when that happens, it usually means that BTC is finding support. Usually, that's what it usually means. Not financial advice. We get a little reaction here. Look at that. See that? So I feel like we are finding support here locally, and that's kind of why ETH BTC is kind of going up. See that? And then let me just have a look at these other tokens to see, are they reacting the same way? Similarly, Solana, similarly. Maybe look at these tokens and see how they're reacting to the price. Connex dropped a bit, didn't it? It's back up again. See, I told you on Connex, every dip is a buying opportunity. Look at these ones. Cake. What's that looking like? That's all right. All right, so I think I've got BTC. I think BTC is coming into a little bit of support now. Let's just have a look at MicroStrategy. I haven't looked at MicroStrategy for a while. It's interesting because BTC put in all-time high, MicroStrategy didn't. There's a little bit of divergence there. It doesn't, for me, it doesn't look like MicroStrategy is impulsing. It still looks quite corrective here. So it is, I am thinking myself, maybe that is what we're looking at, some kind of ABC type move for a breakout to the upside there. I wouldn't mind seeing MicroStrategy take out the all-time high, or whatever it's called, strategy. So let's just see what that looks like. I'll quickly have a look at some other things quickly, and then I'll go on to TRVL. This is S&P 500. Not very interesting. Same, SPX, same. Russell 2000. So this is interesting. So I wouldn't mind if the Russell 2000 breaks the all-time high. I think that would be a really strong signal for risk on crypto. And we haven't seen that since November 24. And we haven't seen that since October 21. You see that? And that's when we had a really good pump back in October 21. And last year in November, we had a really good pump. We're kind of getting into that place again, where we're going to come in, we're approaching the all-time highs on the Russell 2000. So I do feel like we're close to something big. Let me just get rid of all that stuff. Potentially, it looks like a V-shaped recovery. If it can take out the all-time high here, that would be a really nice V-shaped recovery on the Russell 2000. And that would be really bullish. It'd be really bullish to see that. And then maybe we can get a little alt season once that happens. So it's kind of, my eyes are on that at the moment. What else can I look at here to give me some clues about the future? Look at the total market cap. Total market cap is still finding support on that previous all-time high there. So it's still okay. We can kind of hold here. It'd be nice. Total 2 is obviously dropped. This is slightly different, but it never really did. It take the all-time high? Slightly, just. And let's look at total 3. Total 3 never took out the all-time high. So that's what we want to see. We want to see a massive rotation of capital into total 3. That's away from BTC and ETH. And ideally, what we want to see is we want to see total 1, or the total market cap, push to higher prices, to higher valuations. And ideally, we want to see it push past 4 trillion, 5 trillion. And then I have a really nice 618 target at 6 trillion. If we can get that, then we're going to get this total 2 and total 3 fly like there's no tomorrow. And that's what we want to see. Let's go back to BTC. Looks like BTC is dropping again. Yeah, it's pretty kind of illiquid. That when you see these kind of up and down, really sharp ups and downs, it's illiquid. Bizarrely, BTC is illiquid right now, a little bit illiquid. Let me have a look at the order flow. Coming into the daily open off the VWAP, we're kind of stuck here right now between the daily open and the VWAP. It's somewhat liquid. You can see that the CVD is still bullish as long as we don't take out these liquidation lows. I think we're still bullish. If we take out these liquidation lows, then the CVD, bullish CVD is invalidated. Okay, so as long as we kind of hold these liquidation lows here, then we have bullish CVD forming here, which means that you have large entities, large players, bigger whales. They've got big limit orders. They've set big limit orders, and they're absorbing the price. They're absorbing the price, stopping it from going down. So the only way for the price to go down is from market selling. And when you've got limit orders absorbing the market selling, and eventually what happens is the market selling stops, just diminishes, it runs out, and then the price starts to move in the other direction, which is up. So that's kind of what we want to see. You want to see bullish divergence continue without bearish divergence forming here. That's what you want to see. And ideally what you want to see, the next kind of thing to see here would be for the daily open to flip into support. We tried once, failed, we need another attempt. Okay, it flips into support, and then you're going to start seeing this price action rally to the upside. Probably it's the most probable outcome here. You can see that there's some single prints. I think it's possible that we'll fill those single prints quite quickly. That will bring us above the daily open, and then you're into a selling tail, and that possibly could fill again quite quickly, and that'll be quite interesting to see. Yeah. Okay, there's nothing interesting there, but it is the New York session now, so this is where most of the volume comes in, and so this is kind of where the market set the direction of Bitcoin and the rest of the markets. It's always in the New York session. So if the New York session finds support and goes up, then that's a pretty good sign. But here you see we're kind of stuck here between the daily open, the VWAP, and we have these single prints slightly above us that needs to fill if it wants to go up. It needs to fill if it wants to go up. Okay, so we're kind of consolidating here. Technically, if this is bearish in a sense that it's consolidation on support is bearish. But because I'm looking at ETH BTC and seeing ETH BTC is what's taking out the liquidity from BTC, then I kind of have a feeling that possibly we're looking to go up. Yeah, possibly looking to go up. So that's kind of my BTC analysis today. It always looks bearish before it looks bullish. Always looks bearish before it looks bullish. And that's something to bear in mind. Okay. If it's feeling bearish, if you're looking at this, you're feeling a little bit bearish, then it's probably bullish. Probably. Let's see what happens. All right. So I did a really nice, dare I say nice. I did a long video on TRVL on Sunday, and I cut it into another video. I called it Dtravel and TRVL, my 65K crypto booking journey. That wasn't it. Was it? This was it. Why TRVL token is primed to explode, my 65K journey with Dtravel and price predictions. And then I made a cut of that video yesterday and I put it on YouTube. And I've also, if you go to my X page, what I've actually done is I've created a subbed video from that 15-minute cut. This is basically fundamentals. And so I'm just trying to do more of these. If you have seen it, then thank you. And if you haven't, then go and have a look. You can watch on YouTube, or you can go onto my X page and it's just there with the subs. If you like it and share it or post it, that would be really appreciated. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to focus a lot more on the fundamentals, not just the technicals, okay? Because I want people to understand Dtravel, I want people to understand TRVL, and I want people to see what I see, which is the future. Now, I often see the future in squiggly lines on the black screen, but there's different variations of the future that we can see and we can look at, and one of them is the fundamentals, and that's why I'm kind of focusing on the fundamentals a lot more than before. Let me just put this into a group, so hide it now. Okay, just get rid of this. I probably should clean up my charts, but I'm going to have a short session today. I'm just going to quickly have a look at TRVL. So remember what I've been saying about TRVL? I've been talking about this WXY correction. Do I have it here even? I don't know. Got a lot of old analysis here. This is the MEXC chart. I'm sure I had it on this chart. Yeah, it's something like that. I've got this idea of a WXY correction. And so I'm just going to kind of look at that idea a little bit more in depth. But really the thing that I wanted to look at was this chart, which is the TRVL BTC chart. Now, this isn't a classic TRVL BTC. This is TRVL minus KuCoin, because I wanted to see the launch data. So minus KuCoin against BTC times 3 multiplied by an imaginary figure, just to get some numbers here, so we get some ratios. This doesn't give you an actual volume between BTC and TRVL, but it does tell you where the volume is in terms of price. So it's quite an interesting chart. And I kind of wanted to have a look at this again. I've looked at this before. I wanted to have a look at it again. I'm just going to kind of update it a little bit. Effectively, what I've got is a WXY here. It's a very steep WXY. You see that? It's very similar to the USD chart. And what I'm going to do, and so I've got this fib pool. This fib pool is from I don't know why I have it from the top there. It's not the all-time high. That's the all-time high. It's always tricky with fib pools because sometimes you have expanding data on, especially on these price launches, and it changes the fibs, and it's like it's almost like guesswork which is correct. I'll take it to the all-time high though. And then let me just update the volume again using the daily chart. So here, this is against BTC. You can see the point of, we're above the point of control here. Value area lows down there, and we've got the value area high. It's kind of fallen down to the 382 area there. And I'm still following this idea of a WXY. I'll hide it now. And this fib pool is from the all-time high, which I've calculated based off the USD chart on MEXC. It's $1.56. I just kind of matched them up. So I'm just ignoring that initial launch wick. And here what you see is a few things. We're above the point of control on the USD chart and this chart, this BTC chart. So I think that's a good sign. That means that the most of the volume that's been put in has been put in under these prices. And when you compare it to the volume that we had before, and so this is the thing, in the past we were looking at it, we're thinking, oh yeah, look, this volume is great. Look at this volume, it's great. But actually it wasn't. And now actually what we're putting in is volume, is real volume, real accumulation happening at these prices. And so I think that's a really good sign. And also naturally what you can see are these fibs. You can see that this value area high and this 382 are lined up quite nicely. So potentially we're looking at that as our target, but that changes things a little bit because you have, what do you have? Why have I got this line outside? I don't know why I've got that. Let me just take it to the all-time high there. Let me just line it up correctly. This line is a bit messy. It's like, how do you draw these points? Which points do you use? Because it's quite wicky. There's a lot of wicks. Do you take the first one there? Do you take the second one there? Do you take this one? It's a bit tricky, isn't it? So I'm kind of going to ignore it. Maybe I'm going to zoom out to a slightly higher time frame and get rid of this now because we have the levels. And when it comes to bullish market structure here, we also need to change bullish market structure on the BTC chart. That was your low. This is your low high. That was your all-time low. We haven't actually taken out the high for a higher high yet. So it's interesting because on the USD chart, we've actually confirmed the market structure to bullish, but on the BTC chart, we haven't. And actually what we want is we want this chart to become bullish. Yeah, it is bullish in the sense that we're above the point of control and we're putting a shit ton of volume. You see, last week, we put in the most volume in the whole history of this token against BTC. You see that? And it was a green volume. Okay. So in the past, when we put that volume, we got this crazy selling tail and a swing failure. Whereas now we haven't got that. We've got a really nice buy up. And it goes back to 4 weeks ago when you've got this red volume. You see it's got really high red volume and the price really didn't move. And that's when I said it was bullish. So I think this is actually looking quite bullish. We haven't actually confirmed a market structure change yet here on BTC, and I think that's what we want to see. But it's quite interesting because you can see how the price action here looks like it's trying to bottom. What we had before here was quite interesting. It was again, it's tricky, isn't it? Because these wicks are quite annoying. But we had a breakdown, didn't we? We had a little breakdown, bam, 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 shh, of this kind of historic trend line. And we kind of have to flip that back into support. So we are going to have to go up and test that. We are going to go and have to flip that. We are going to have to go up and recapture the 236. And then in this context, the value area high is your target. Just because we're in the value area, we're above the point of control. That's your target zone, which is also confluence with the 382. That unfortunately will still look bearish, because if you go down, you go up to the 382 and top out there, you're still putting in lower highs against BTC. It would look really bullish because you get a really nice pump against BTC of 480%, and you'd be breaking through this back above this historic trend line which we lost. That would be nice. Getting back above the 236, that would be nice, but potentially also still putting in a lower high, and we have to be aware of that. And so we haven't really put in a V-shaped recovery here, and a V-shaped recovery would be to take out this high. It would be bam, 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 take out that high. That would be really nice. And if we were able to do that, go up to the 50 fib, then from the low here to the high there, then potentially a 50 fib retrace would be the 236. And that would possibly be nice to see. So this chart is still kind of, you can see the momentum is strong to the downside. The next big rally is going to be one to sell into. And obviously what we want to try and do is try and see how far it goes. Naturally, I think the target will be the value area high, which coincides with the 382. But the most bullish scenario in this case would be to take out that pivot high, which was the December 24 pivot high, and hit the 50 fib for a V shape. That's what we want to see. Okay, so we're kind of making some strides now. It's quite interesting to monitor and to watch. When I look at the TRVL daily chart now, it's tricky because we had this kind of bullish engulfing, and then we lost it. We took out the low, but we're putting a slightly higher low now. Now we're getting a buy up. We're getting some decreasing volume. That's actually what we want to see, decreasing volume here. So it does potentially look like we are still forming the right shoulder of this inverse head and shoulders. It does still look like it. Yeah. Now, I don't know why I said go down to there. I can't remember why, but I'm not really fussed. As long as ideally what we don't want to do is lose this level here, which is what I was talking. We don't want to come all the way down here. That would look really bearish. That would look bearish, and then the next pump would be a sell-off. So I was thinking this trend line to hold, but it would be more bullish to just kind of not even go down there. And what we want to see is a clean break of the neckline, and I've got it as a flat neckline at the moment. That's what we want to see to go up. If we do get that break, we're going to pump. Yeah, we'll pump, and we'll probably head to 3.1, 3.2 cents. The reason why is because it's a measured move of this head and shoulders pattern, but also the reason why is that I'm looking at the Bollinger Bands, I'm looking at the monthly time frame, and I'm seeing that the midpoint is at about 3.1 cents. And so I do expect that midpoint to react. In previous months, you've seen how it's gone through the midpoint all the way up to the top of the Bollinger Band, and that would take us to, I mean, who knows? You know, shit happens. You know, crazy things happen in crypto. It took an extra month to do that. The first month it hit, you see that, and the second month it went up. So it'd be interesting to see how we hit, and then if the next month goes up and does exactly the same thing, I'd be interested to see how that plays out. But I am looking at everything, and the reality is, for a token like TRVL, if we want to go up and have a crazy rally to the upside, we have to flip this midpoint into support, and then we have a chance to push. And we've never been able to do that. Every time the prices come back to this monthly midpoint, we've had a clean loss. With here we had a back test. Here we didn't even have a back test, so we haven't even back tested this midpoint. And you see on the weekly time frame, we've back tested the weekly midpoint as support. You see that? 2 weeks in a row we've held it as support. So this is quite good. As long as we hold this weekly midpoint as support, it looks good for the price to continue to go up, kind of similar to what we've experienced in the past. For me, this looks better than the past, because in the past, what you're looking at is the price never really, you see here, it never really back tested it properly. It kind of floated above it, never really back tested it, and then it did back test it to lose it. Okay, and then here we had a back test here, but it kind of wicked through it quite heavily. And here you see it's actually being respected. So we have a very different situation here with the weekly midpoint of the Bollinger Band. It looks a lot stronger for me right now. The price action looks quite strong at these levels. And naturally what we want to see is a breakout, a high volume breakout to the upside. You're looking at the monthly candle. That's definitely going to be a green candle now, I think. I can't imagine it to be red. That was, for me, that's a bullish reversal. You've got a piercing candle with another green candle, increasing volume, increasing prices. That's bullish. And so I would argue that our bottom is forming here, at least in the midterm to short to midterm. We have a bottom forming here. And again, it goes back to my original idea. The target for me is 3.1 cents, which would be the midpoint of this Bollinger Band. That would be a really nice target for a keen take profit. And then we have to see what happens on the BTC chart, on the USD chart, and where we're going to find support, because then we'll probably get a pullback for support. And we have to see how these coincide as well. So here you see on the BTC chart against TRVL, against BTC, we had this bearish engulfing, lows, and look, we're right back above that volume, above that candle right now. So we're basically reversing all of this. And for me, that's looking quite bullish. Increasing prices, increasing volume. Yeah. And usually what happens is that once we get past this green candle here, once we get past it, we've got these red candles and the price should go up quite nicely until it starts hitting more green candles here. The first area of kind of big resistance will be there. And so that's kind of what I'm imagining. And it is possible, and this is the thing, it is possible to form an inverse head and shoulders. I can see it. Depending on how high we get on this push up, it is possible to form some kind of inverse head and shoulders pattern here on a higher time frame. And if that was to form on BTC, then we're laughing. We're all laughing. So I don't know if that's helped. Again, I'm just making a little short video today. We had this kind of sell-off, consolidation, and the price has gone up again. So we can see that there's buying. You can see that there's interest. You can see that there's buying. Here, when we had the sell-off, we actually put in a higher low. So we can see that the selling isn't really taking it down enough. And it just, I don't know, it just feels like we're still bullish. I'm not really fond of yesterday's red candle. Today, if we don't get a strong green candle, if it goes up halfway, then this whole structure could start to look bearish. It is possible. And so what matters now is how we close today. We really need to close above 50% above the body for another piercing candle. And we have to see how that forms. I'm not going to stream again until Friday. I'll do another stream on Friday. That's in 3 days' time. But let's see what happens. Let's see if this plays out the way I imagine. And if not, then we'll just have to see how it plays out. Let me have a look at this again. Yeah, I mean, it could come down lower. Did I do the volume? I can't remember. Let me do it again. Yeah, that's why I said it'll come back down to the value area high and flip this value area into support would be amazing. It's kind of why I said that. And to find support off this trend line, that would be amazing too. To see that would be amazing. Are we in our next wave? Yeah, I think it's possible. Huh? I think it's possible we've waved. 1, 2, 3. So we just have to monitor that and see how that plays out. That was your wave 1. That was your another one. 1, 2, 1, 2. And actually, that was your first impulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the wave 3 that we're looking at in total. That was your wave 1. This is the wave 3. Wave 3s are usually more kind of, they're longer, they're more structured, and they look like multiple waves. And so the wave 1s are just like fast waves. Bam! Which we had. Put in a higher low and we started to impulse again. So I would say this is a wave 3. A 1, 2, and then maybe we're in another 1, 2. Rather than, and the reason why is because you have to follow the rules, and it came underneath the top of this one. So that's why this can't be the blue 5. It's 1, 2, and then you have a 1, 2, possibly for a 3, 4, 5 to finish 3 for a 4 and then a 5. Okay, and so kind of have to see how that plays out. But I can see that there's some impulsive buying here, and that's kind of what you want to see. All right, so another update on Friday. Until then, just keep on buying the dips. Yeah, so you see red candles, just buy. And if you want to take profit on the green candles. You can skim profit on green candles. You can buy into the red candles. That's a really easy strategy for accumulating and for buying and selling TRVL. We've our 3-day candle close. Look at that close. I say that's quite bullish. It's quite high volume, and the price barely moved in 3 days. So I would argue that's quite bullish. We have to see what happens next. Okay, see what happens next. All right, so I hope you had a good stream, and then I'll see you guys on Friday. Take care.